Ajit Menon, a member of the industry, has joined us on the center stage today. Ajit has over 25 years of experience in varied industries like aviation, hospitality, BPO, media, and manufacturing. Throughout his career, he focused more on organization building than just running the people function. Even as the group HR head of Dalmia Bharat Group, where he spent his last decade, he was focused more on building the organization. He partnered the promoters in building all their businesses from its nascent stage to what it is now, a business conglomerate. Having worked for others, Ajit is now focusing on his passion, which is writing and film production. His first book, which is a fiction novel, has been published by Bloomsbury UK. Currently, he's busy creating content for his own production house. In his earlier professions, he has been recognized by renowned industries worldwide and has received several awards, including Exemplary OD Leader, Asia Pacific Region, and Award for Institution Building. Ajit, who have your professional role models been? How significant has mentoring and networking been in your professional development?
My role models, there are three of them which I feel are my strong role models. First one is Mr. Ratan Tata. The reason for him being my role model is the fact that he is one person who plans everything in life as before executing it. He is one person who does not do anything just for the sake of doing it. Everything has a strategic plan, and then he executes that particular plan. The second role model of mine is Mr. Anand Mahendra. He is one individual who I would say a man with a lot of guts. Basically, a person who has the courage to diversify into various businesses. He's a person who has forayed into automobiles, gone from automobiles into aviation. From aviation, he's moved into defense. He's a person who's taken the opportunity as and when it came, because he knew what is good in the market and he knew what is happening in the future. The third person who is my role model is a very cliched statement, which is Mr. Narendra Modi, the Honorable Prime Minister. And the reason is very specifically for me, the reason is that he is one person who I believe is an individual who has got a lot of self-belief. He feels that if he says something, he can deliver. He feels that he is one person who has got a lot of potential. And that is one thing which I want to inculcate right from the beginning, and the very reason why I decided to move from industry to industry and explore, because I felt that if one individual who was selling tea once upon a time, can become whoever he is today, I also need to have that kind of self-belief reach where I want to reach. And I think I've been pretty successful as far as that is concerned. Coming to the second part of the question, which is, what is my, what do I feel is significantly important about mentoring and networking? Let me do it in the reverse order first. That is, networking is something which has to be a part of any leadership role. If a person has to succeed in life, he has to do networking. He has to meet like-minded people. He has to explore opportunities. He has to take the initiative to do research, find out people who will help him groom and grow, and reach out to those people and create a great networking network for himself or herself, and do well in life. Coming to the mentoring part of it, nobody is perfect in this world. If you want to become something in life, then there has to be someone who should be able to look you in the eye and turn around and say, you are doing this wrong, or this is a better way of doing it. And for that, you need a mentor, someone who's constantly holding your hand, guiding you, correcting you, not someone whom you can lean on. He's not your agony aunt. He's someone is like, with to whom you can go speak and say that I want to reach here. I am putting in the effort. I am putting in the hard work. Show me the door, show me the route, show me how it is to be done, and that kind of a mentorship helps. So it plays a very, very significant role as far as professional growth is concerned, even personal growth also is concerned. When we were kids, it was our parents. Later, it's just like, it becomes your teacher, your professors, your lecturers. Then sometimes it is your boss, or sometimes you start looking for people outside, to help you, or mentor you, and make you become a better human being in personal life as well.
That's a very critical role about mentors you have talked about.
Yeah. A mentor can make or break a particular person. Correct. If the mentoring is not correct, there are a lot of coaching institutes in India. So people come out as certified coaches with a standard formatted procedural questioning that they do. They give you some certain number of questions. They ask you a few things. Then they will guide you based on the answers that you give. Correct. A proper mentor is someone who will actually go deep into your character, your personality, your past, the way you have lived, the way you have dealt with people. Till now, he will expect you to introspect and explore and go within yourself and find out, what am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? He will help you come up with answers yourself. He will ensure us that you are one particular individual who is self-made, because every human being is unique. There is nobody like you, correct? And a mentor helps you realize who you actually are. That's the role of a mentor. And mentoring is required not just people below you. So mentoring is required even for people above you. In my career, I have even mentored promoters. It's to get out of the typical Babu way of working. It's just and to get professional. The very thought of looking at a business and saying, I want to make money, so let me create a particular product, let me get some people to sell it, let me make money out of it. That is not a long-term solution or long-term goal, or that's not a visionary's way of looking at things. So typically, mentoring, when you do for promoters, you make them leave the normal dhanda karna, yeah, business doing, it's doing business mode, and move into a visionary's role where they have a long, audacious vision, correct? And then tell them that it is possible only if you can get the right people for this particular thing, help them build their organization. It's so mentoring is that, helping an individual, um, reach out to the maximum of his potential. It's basically unleashing the potential of a mentor does that. He unleashes the potential of everyone he touches. And in fact, actually, that sentence, unleash the potential of everyone we touch, is something that we had created for my earlier organization, Dalmia Bharat Group, as a vision. The mother vision was unleash the potential of everyone we touch.
Oh,
and
wow.
that's so we were talking about creating mentors right from ground level upwards to the leadership level itself.
So it would be like everyone in Dalmia Group is a mentor to someone or the other.
Absolutely. Because if you look at the situation today, if you look at life today, there are many things that you're learning from your own kids. So if you don't have the ability to or the humility to get mentored by your son or your daughter over on something that you are not aware of, then you will never learn, correct? So when they say a mentor and a mentee, it is typically felt as that it is something which some senior person is doing to some junior guy or whatever it is, correct? It could be in any form. Mentoring is basically being there, available to teach you and show you things which you have not explored within yourself, as by yourself. And that I think is like, is very, very significant. It's like, in an individual's entire life journey. That's why they say, it's just like, that the word guru, this is like, basically means someone who takes you from darkness into light. So even in our traditional Indian philosophy, if you look, right, our culture always had guru shishya. This is like, which basically means someone who's mentoring you rather than just teaching you some skill. The big difference between teachers and mentors, like in since India, Bharat that we talk about, not India, the Bharat that we speak about, had mentors.
Right.
They groomed you, but they never told you, it's like, don't cut a tree, it's like, because the government will punish you. They taught you to pray to that particular tree because it gives you shade, it gives you food, it gives you, shelter. Right? So that's called mentoring. It's just like, making a person a far better person is like, than what he or she is, by helping him or her realize the divinity inside that particular tree. I always said that, every human being is born divine. Correct? We become human beings later.
Right.
The infant stage, which is there, where there is no malice towards anybody, where there is no anger towards anyone, there is no distrust, there is no greed. That divine stage when you are an infant is just like, uh, that reflects the fact that you are born divine. Correct? And the tuition teacher or the tutor that has been given to you by the Almighty or by God, is the tutor is inside you. The inner tuition is just like, and it's called intuition.
Oh, yeah.
That's why the word intuition.
Oh, wow.
But we become human beings. It's like, and go take our tuition first from our parents who come with their own cobwebs in life. Then we take tuition from teachers who have got their own baggage. Correct? And then we learn everything from outside. We don't learn anything from within.
Mm.
And the difference between gurus and us is the fact that they look inward. When we are told introspect, look inward, what it means is अपनी दिल की बात सुनो, learn from within, listen to the tutor inside, listen to the inner tuition, the intuition which is coming.
Yeah, and get attuned to yourself, that kind of.
So the greatest mentor sitting in every human being is inside you itself. When you go to a temple, who are you praying? You're looking at the deity in front, but you're praying to yourself. You're talking to yourself. Everything that we do is happening within us. When we smile, the happiness is within us. When we cry, the sadness is within us. When we touch also somebody, it's like, the feeling is inside us. Everything is happening inside us.
Right.
So the greatest mentor is you, yourself, inside you. It's just like, and then when someone helps you realize that, then that person becomes your mentor. It's just like, he's mentoring you to achieve that divinity back again. That's the greatest mentor.
Yes. Because most of the time we lose a track of this. We fail to realize the power which we have inside. And that is what I think mentor makes us realize over and over again, that yes, we have the power to do it.
Absolutely.
And that's why in India, the greatest, the greeting which we use is namaste.
Yeah, so the namaste is basically, it's just like, that the divinity in me is bowing to the divinity in you.
Yeah.
We treat each other as gods. We don't say that, I'm a human being, you're a human being. No, we say, I'm a divine creature, so you're a divine creature, and I bow to your divinity. That's the reason why we do the namaste part of it.
Yes, we should always remember this when we do it. Like, do it with meaning, do it with purpose.
Correct. I always tell people, it's just like, that don't be pompous, but you should be proud of yourself. It's like, because there is nobody like you. All those things which has been said in this Western world, is like, there are 7 like you and 8 like you and 9 like you. No, it's just like, everybody is unique. Correct. Physical features might match in certain cases, but the inner soul is just like, or personality or the individual, he is unique. He or she is unique. Correct. So as a mentor, it's like, you cannot teach somebody to become something different. That's what happens. The coaching is where it's like, they end up trying to coach you to become something.
Right, right.
And then if the person can't do it, then you say the person is incompetent. It's a very sad thing to say. There's nobody in this world who's incompetent. But when you're mentoring a particular person, you are looking at that individual, you're seeing what is his strong points, how can he build on his strengths, in which are the areas where he feels not so confident, how can I help him build that confidence? How can I link that the areas where he's feeling not so confident? Where can I bring the areas where he's confident into this particular thing and link it so that he develops a certain amount of strength in the areas where he has to develop as well. Correct? It's like turning around and saying, a person, let's say, sings very well, correct? And that's his strength. And a person is not able to write songs, correct? But if you were to try and teach him how to write a song, he may never learn how to write. But if you were to tell the individual or make him finally realize that a song becomes all the more beautiful if you turn around and say that you are such a great singer, but that your songs will become so much more better and more emotional and more touching if the thoughts are also coming from you itself. So why don't you explore writing? Then he's coming from an area of strength and then trying to put together a song which is there. So उनके अंदर की जो कवि है, it's like, that comes out. It's like, because everybody has got talent. Correct. So that song that finally does come out, which he writes, is like, becomes the best in his life or her life or whatever it is. So that's the difference between a mentor and a coach. Right?
Yeah, that's wonderful. Now, coming to the important lessons that you've learned. What are the three most important lessons you've learned on your journey, given your diverse education and professional background?
So I studied different subjects in my life, which resulted in me taking up different jobs in different roles in different industries. So yeah, you're right. It's just like, that I had the opportunity to travel through various organizations, through various industries in various roles. Correct. And having done so many different roles and so many different industries, the first thing that comes to my mind is just like, as far as my first lesson that I learned was nothing in life is permanent. Right? Everything is just like, changes dynamically. It's just like, as the years or the months or the weeks go by. Hence, it's very important to be as humble as possible. My first or biggest lesson I've learned is, with nothing being permanent in this world, one has to be absolutely humble in life and learn the fact or realize or accept the fact that there are others who are better than you in various things as like, that you are. Correct? It's not necessary, it's just like, for you to, or it's not a great thing for you to assume that I'm better than others. Correct? That humility is something, it's like, which should always be there and keep you rooted to the ground. Correct? Or that humility comes only when you realize that nothing in life is permanent. Today you have money, tomorrow it will go. Today you have a massive house, tomorrow it will go. Correct? Today you have a job, it's just like, might go. Today you might be having a great role to play. Somebody else is like, might play that particular role far better than you. It's like, so he will take the cake and walk away. So humility is the first lesson, like, which I think I have learned. The second thing which I've learned is that if you want to be a good human being in life, it's like, if you want to grow, wisdom is something that you have to achieve, not cunningness. Right? Cunning is the ape of wisdom. Both will achieve results. Right? You can get an outcome. This is like, you can make or get a solution or get something done either through wisdom or being cunning. Correct. But I personally feel this is like, that wisdom means believing in ethics and believing in values. Wisdom is also something that lets you realize this is like, that you're different from the rest. Correct. So you don't have to ape other people. You don't have to become like another human being. And hence to achieve that, this is like, you have to come up with devious, cunning ways or whatever it might be. So I believe in life, one should become wiser. And that's the difference between being literate and being educated. When you get educated, you understand because you get educated when you are able to answer the question of why in everything. And then you become wise. I think one should strive for wisdom rather than being able, be cunning. And that's the reason why I said this is like, my role models are also people, this is like, who are people who are wiser, correct, and not cunning. Correct. Whether it's in politics, whether it's in business, or whether it's in anything, they're all people who are wise, who are willing to wait that long period, who are willing to follow the ethics, the values that lay down, that are inbuilt in a human being and achieve the result. This is like, aaj nahi to kal aa hi jayega. Lekin this is like, it is better to do it the right way or whatever. And that's the wisdom that I'm talking about. The third thing which I feel, the third lesson I've learned in life is that if you're doing something, it should work. Right? If you are singing a song, a person should be able to enjoy that song. If you're writing a story, the person should be able to enjoy that particular story. If you are doing some work, then that solution should work for you as well as for the others. Otherwise, there is no point in doing that particular work. Why I'm saying it is basically because I've learned that people say, "Ye mera kaam nahi hai." So any job or any work that you're doing in life, people generally have the tendency to break it in parts and say, this part is what I'm supposed to do. Right? And I'm of the view, it's just like, that if you do that part, correct, and finally the outcome, others don't do their part, it's like, the outcome, it's like, in sense, is not met. Then it's like, the job is not done. So when you're doing some work, you have to make sure that when you're doing anything, you should make sure that it works. At the end of it, that thing actually works, which basically means you have to see through it, right till the end. This is like, and that's why they say follow up. Go and check whether somebody has said in my career also, if somebody comes and says that, sir, my salary is getting delayed every month and I'm getting it on the 7th of every month instead of the 1st. Right? I, as an HR head, could turn around and say that, hey, let me write down a mail. I write a mail to the compensation team and say, please ensure that this particular person's salary comes on the 1st of every month. But the big question would be, is like, that did it actually work? Did the people, like, to whom I wrote that mail, did they execute it? Did it actually happen? If it didn't happen, it's like, then that means whatever I said didn't work.
So follow up.
So unless and until I go and I see that I've written the mail, I check the particular individual salary, I call up that individual, I've asked him, I said, like, have you received it or not received it? finally, when I'm convinced that it worked, then I can say, yes, whatever I've done is like, has actually worked. So I think these are the three lessons. One is humility. The other one is like, is to be wiser and not cunning. And the third one is to do things is like, which actually work for you as well as for individuals. It's like, and this is something which is industry agnostic. It's like, across all industries, wherever you have worked. These are the three lessons that I've.
Very enlightening, very useful lessons. I shall also remember these 3 points.
Yeah, otherwise, it will not make any. See, at the end of it, one person from whom you cannot hide is yourself.
Is yourself. Yes.
Correct. So you can go around telling all the people, you can do something, you can use your cunningness and do something and achieve something. Okay. And you can tell the whole world, as it's like, I did this, I did that, whatever, and polish it, whatever you're wrong, you're done. But at the end of it, when you sit in front of the mirror, you know that you are the one who has done whatever you have done, you know it yourself. So I would prefer to do things in a manner or live a life or travel this journey of my life in a manner is like, where I feel I'm able to look at myself and say, hey, you know what, take a pat on your back saying that you did well today. You'll make mistakes. It's like, and I'm sure it's just like, we all go through life. It's just like, in different stages of our life, we think that, at that time, whatever you're doing is correct. But with age and experience and, being slapped many times in life, you realize finally at the end of it, this is like, that. And with great mentors and with great coaches and with great people, friends, and bosses who advise you and things like that, you realize it's like, after some time that in life, it is best to be humble, wiser, as it's like, and give solutions that work for people. And that's a lesson that I have learned. Is, maybe others are learning other things. But,
absolutely. Ajit, what, in your opinion, constitutes good people philosophy? What are some of the most important factors you consider when developing a people strategy?
Okay, so before we come to a people philosophy part of it, one thing which we need to understand, and which is actually a message from me to everybody, is, and all throughout my life, I've said this. People are not objects that you use. They are living, breathing, divine creatures. Right? So the first thing before we go, which as when if you want to have a great people philosophy, the first thing that you need to accept is that our people are not resources. They're actual talents. The very fact that we call HR as human resource, that itself is absolutely wrong. You're treating a human being as a resource. So what happens when you treat a person as a resource? You use the resource. When you have a talent, correct? You acquire that talent. You go after that particular talent and you acquire that talent, and you regard that particular talent as like, and you compliment that individual for that particular talent, and you tell that talent, please come and show this in my organization so that my organization can benefit from your talent. That is a talent.
Yeah.
But
and
when
promote
correct.
also.
So it's always, look at this, when it's a talent, you will go all out to acquire that particular talent.
Right.
But when it's a resource, you will recruit him. So as long as in this world, you use the word resource, human resource, along with it will come all those stupid words like recruitment, hiring. Correct. Imagine the word hiring basically means, that itself means temporary. I'm hiring someone to do a particular job. He is my resource. So imagine when you're sitting by yourself in front of the mirror, you look at yourself in the mirror and you say, Mr. Ajit Menon, you are nothing but an item, a resource who has been hired to do a particular job. Once that job is done, this is like your use is over. So in your mind, what are you praying? That usage doesn't end. So then what you make sure, as is like instance, that the job is never fully complete. So that stretches and stretches and stretches and stretches. It's like a lawyer.
Yeah.
I might be entering to dangerous grounds, but at the risk of being slapped once again and learn more, I'm just saying it's just like, you have there are enough good lawyers, I'm sure. It's like, I'm not casting aspirations on. I'm talking about those cunning lawyers. It's just like, who turn around and say, it's just like, that instead of winning the case, they keep asking for a hearing, postponing it and things like that, so that, his fee continues. That is cunningness. Correct. So unless and until in this world we stop or we remove the words called as hiring, correct? And because it is hiring, the word firing came.
Oh yeah.
Correct. So when you stop these words, hiring, firing, resource, recruitment, all that, then you are dealing with human beings. Right. That is the beginning. The philosophical thought itself has to change. Correct? That talents out there, it's like, I want to acquire a talent. So when you say, it's like, what's a good philosophy? What constitutes a good people philosophy? The first thing that has to happen is that in your organization or in your world, you need to change that name, throw resources out of the window and say, I am dealing with talents. I'm dealing with great human beings. It's like, out there. That's the first thing. Once you've done that, it's just like, you need to ensure, it's just like, that you are inviting them. So it's like this, when you invite somebody to your house, what do? You clean the house. Right. You ensure that the house looks nice and clean. It smells fresh. The bed sheets are put. Everything is done. You make sure that the food is great. As it's like, because why are you doing all this? All this is your expense. But why are you doing it? That person is just going to come, eat and go. Because you want that person who's coming into your house to have a great impression about your house and through that house about you. You want that individual to see the divinity in you. You want that individual to feel that the way they keep their house, the way they serve me food, the way they give me respect, the way they treated me, they are good people. So in an organization also, if you want people to come into your organization, you need to treat them like that. So your policies, your procedures, your standard operating procedures, your guidelines, whatever it is, these are all things that you need to have in an organization. A good philosophy would be to have inspiring, empowering, policies, procedures, wherein people turn around and say, wow, if these people are having such great policies, that means inki soch kya hogi? They are people who really, really love human beings. They want me to succeed. The third thing is that whoever does anything, when we were children, it's like, when we fell, our parents would pick you up, it's just like, and pat you and say, hey, you know what? Don't worry, you're a great guy. It's just like, and since everything is good about you. And even if we start crying, it stops. Why? Because the recognition has come instantly, immediately, in a timely manner. So, organization, a good people philosophy is one, treat people as talents, get them into the organization, invite them into the organization, and showcase great policies, procedures, and value systems in the organization. Tell them, Mrs. Lakenson, the governance model of the organization, the compliance model of the organization is so good that we are ethically and morally a great organization. The next is the talent management system. The third, the talent management system should recognize talent instantly. They should be, किसी ने कुछ अच्छा किया है, So the pat has to come there and then. Then he feels, wow, I'm being noticed. Recognizing somebody at the end of the year by making him or her write a one-page letter saying that these are all my achievements. And then based on that, as you said, when I'm writing itself, it's like, I feel, why am I writing all this? Why couldn't they have seen it? Why should I go and tom myself? Correct. At the, it's like, I got a daughter. Imagine it's like, at the end of the year, she gives me a report card, says in my unit test, I got this much, in my this, I got that much. And then I say, wow, this is like, you did very well. Let me take you out. This is like, and buy you a dress. Or she does a unit test. She comes back, and she says, wow, I got 19 on 20. It's like, since you congratulate the person, you recognize, you reward that particular person, the person feels like, I want to do it again the next time. So a great people philosophy in any good organization should start with recognizing human beings as talent, to ensuring that there is a great organizational vision and goal based around which there is a great people, policy, procedure, systems, correct, which is very empowering, and which is very nurturing, and which is very inspiring for the talent that is working. The third is to ensure that the talent that is in the organization, the talent management system is such that it recognizes and rewards people instantly. It tells a person, this is where you're going wrong, this is the guidance that you require. I'll immediately put somebody to help you out with it because I want you to succeed. And last but not the least, it's like, a good people philosophy includes how you treat a person when the person leaves the organization. It should never be that a person, when he's walking in, there is a lot of fanfare and pomp and everything, but the day on which the person resigns and leaves the organization, is leaving, you ignore him, as if you treat him like that. Because that individual will go and say, all that they show is all great. As long as you're there, it's fine. But the day on which you decide to move, people should leave the organization with the feeling that if I need to reconverge again, with this particular organization, I'll be welcomed with open arms. So then they become your brand ambassadors outside. A good people philosophy, in any organization, starts from the sourcing, from the time that you go out into the market to source great talent, to the time that a person is leaving the organization. There are cases where and I'm very proud of that, there are cases where a person is retired or a person has left the organization, and he or she was availing of a particular facility in terms of, let's say, if he or she is was having difficulty. Let me give you a real life example. It's a person left the organization, the person's address changed, the person has gone back into his village. He was finding it difficult to get his life insurance done, the personal one, life insurance done. He was finding it difficult to get his Aadhaar card done. He just picked up the phone and gave a call, to the administration department and said that, I'm finding it difficult. The administration department treated him exactly like an employee and made sure that all the help and facility was given to him. Of course, he was paying it personally or whatever it might be, but did it. But he felt that the organization was still coming to his help and taking care of him, because they remember all the service that he or she has done for the organization. So philosophies should not remain philosophical. The philosophy is something which is felt by an individual. And good organizations never take away anything from somebody which has already been given. If I've given you a facility, I will try my level best not to take it away. If I have to take it away because of a certain reason or whatever it is, then I will spend time with you and educate you and make you realize and understand that this which I was giving you is no more required as is like instance because you've got these other facilities, whatever it is, things I'm doing. But taking away facility because it adds to the profit is not a good philosophy to have, in my opinion, from what I've learned.
Now, in your multi-decadal experience, what were the top 3 challenges you faced in your professional journey, and how did you overcome them?
Is there any life or organization where there is no challenge? So one big challenge is like that I have faced at my level, correct, is keeping the organization focused on the vision and the goal. The thing is, when you start an organization with a great vision and you have an end goal. Correct? But the biggest challenge is to keep the individual or the organization focused on that vision and that goal. Because when market scenario changes, when a pandemic happens, or a war breaks out, or something happens, if there is the sales have not happened, suddenly everybody forgets the vision, everybody forgets the goal. It's like, and they look for shortcuts. So the biggest challenge is to keep them focused on the vision and on that goal, irrespective of what happens. You might decide to do a few things a little later, but it doesn't mean that you will allow them to change the vision or change the goal. Vision has to be the same, the goal has to be the same. Correct? It's like I have a vision of, I don't know if the analogy is good. I have a vision of getting married. Okay. I have a vision, let's say, or a goal of getting married. I have a goal of having a family life. After I reach a particular age, it's like, I want to do this. So this is, let's say, if it is there in my mind. Just because somewhere along the line, it's just like, I find that it's like, that the amount of money that I have saved or the amount of status that I have decided for myself, that hasn't worked out or whatever it is. Suddenly, if I decide, thank you, nice knowing you, it's like, I'm going to kill all this vision, it's like, remain a bachelor, then that's your choice. It's just like, nobody's stopping you from that. It's like, but then suddenly, forget about the goalpost, that bigger, larger vision is lost. Correct. So the inner energy or the drive to achieve that is also killed and that is also gone. As long as the vision is there, always people will look for solutions. You keep the vision alive, you keep showing them the goal that we have to reach here, we have to reach here. The drive is always there, the hope is always there. We live in this world because of hope only, correct?
Right.
I'm hoping every night when I sleep that I will wake up tomorrow morning.
Right.
Correct. That's a greatest example of saying that we live on hope.
Right.
Correct. हम कितने confidently सोते हैं. When you're going off to sleep, it's just like, and since your husband turns around and says, "Can you prepare this for me?" It's just like, you say, "Yeah, I will do it tomorrow." It's with that hope that I will wake up tomorrow. See the amount of confidence that you've got. Right? So in our personal life, it's just like, and since we'll never miss the goal, vision. Our vision is that we will live a very long life. Our vision is that we will live very happily. Our vision is just like, in sense that all the riches and happiness will come to us. And we live and we live and we live. And we fight against death to achieve that particular thing. So that's the power of that. Correct. So my biggest challenge is always that when it comes to personal life, people are okay. They still stick to the, a lot of basic visions which are there. But when it comes to organizations, it's like, the collective focus just dissipates. It's like, because some leader, someone somewhere, or the promoter will end up turning around and saying that ye nahi ho payega shayad. So that's one big challenge. It's like, so, and my solution to that is like, is to keep telling people, as like I was explaining just now, keep telling people, as like, that anything that you think of is possible. This is just a temporary, it's just like, issue which has happened. I have to research, I have to find examples, it's just like, of where people have stuck to visions, it's like, and achieved it in spite of issues or whatever it is. Correct? Keep having these focus groups, keep meeting people, talk to them individually, keep your eyes and ears to the ground and find out, this is like, that is the leader of a particular business losing hope? Is he getting demotivated? Is he losing his focus? Then talk to the guy, because a culture of an organization is built by the
Leaders.
personality who's heading it. So the focus is always to ensure, it's just like, that that particular individual remains motivated, stays focused on this thing. So that has been one very, very, very big challenge. The second one is just like, is ensuring growth. Without growing, an organization will never be able to succeed in life. So while people might say it might be the job of a CEO, no, I totally disagree. It's just like, because I think it's largely the job of the chief people officer to help and assist in the growth of the organization. And that happens when there is creativity and innovation. This is not selling, let us try this. This is not working, let us do this. People are constantly researching, people are constantly being creative, people are constantly being innovative. Right? So that is a big challenge, and that challenge can be overcome right at the beginning when you are sourcing and getting talent who are creative and innovative people. So your organization's growth depends on whom you're acquiring. That's why I always say, never hire a person to fill a vacancy. Acquire a talent, as is Leginsons, who will be creative, who will innovate, and who will teach you how to grow as is Leginsons. That's the second solution to that particular challenge which is there. The third one is a challenge which I feel myself personally is correct. That challenge is to stay to stay motivated when I'm working in promoter-driven organizations. Correct. It's and for that to stay motivated is a challenge, because the promoters keep sliding from the professional part, correct, to Babu type of behavior. So you have to constantly keep educating the promoter. You have to keep what you're doing to the people, you have to do that to the promoter also. You have to keep showing him various reasons of why he should remain professional. Telling him, as like, that his role is different. Teaching him to become a visionary so that and tell him that you're a promoter. Your dreams have got no boundaries. You think. Let the professionals do the job. Correct. So that is one challenge that I used to face as Leginsons of, because it's very exhausting to stay motivated to go back, because these people are like toys. You wind it, it's like, they're all taught and they're running all over the place. When business is doing very well, they're all very professional and everything. The moment one depression hits, it's like, stop this, cut this, do that. It's like all the professionalism goes out of the window. It's like, and then they'll come back to the same Babu type of work. It's like, where they'll say, let us look at only today. Kitna mal banaya, kitna becha, bas wahi dekho. And they have their own ways of saying things also. They will say, like, who has seen tomorrow? Today is what we live for. They are also very smart, correct? They bring out their cunningness as Leginsons to showcase how what I'm saying today for today is more important than you thinking of tomorrow. So that is the third challenge which I had. This is like, for which I told you. The solution is to keep them also as like, on track with the vision and say that you have to remain professional. You have to. And for me, a lot helped by getting very aggressive and very assertive senior leadership team who will give it back to the promoter, as like, who will push back and say, you stay there, you do that job, we are great here, we'll do this. So bringing that kind of talent also into the organization is one solution too. this particular problem. These are the three challenges that I have faced. There are many more. You asked for three, so I'm just saying these are the top three things.
Top three. Ajit, as you are now a corporate governance expert, we would like to know your perspective and the benefits of having an HR leader in the company boards.
So let me explain this and try and explain it in layman's language so that it's easy for people to understand, rather than me getting into heavy professional jargon, correct? Business jargon. Any organization to sustain its business, for the sustainability of its business and for the growth of its business, there are 5 P's, the alphabet P's, that work. It starts with people, it goes on to product, then it comes to performance, then it becomes profit, and then it is prospect. Correct. Let's understand it in a reverse model. Correct. So prospecting is the so-called new business development that you talk about, correct? Going out and finding new business and this and that. For that prospecting to happen, for the new business to happen, the organization should have enough money to invest in business development, which basically which means the organization should be profitable. Correct? So if an organization has to be profitable, then the organization should be run in a very sustainable fashion. Correct? That you are selling stuff, and making money. Now, for that sustainability of the business, your performance has to be good. Correct? You will have a budget, you will have a sales budget, you will have a cost budget, you will have a revenue budget, you will have an EBITDA budget, you have a profit budget, and the organization is performing on all these parameters or whatever. Now, for your organization to perform in all these parameters and for the organization to generate sales revenue, your product should be of quality. Right? Now, if your product has to be of great quality, it means that your organization's reputation is dependent on that product. Now, for this product to be created, for this product to be sold and an organization to perform very well, and for an organization to maintain its sustainability and maintain its profitability, so that it has got money to go and do new business development and prospect. The main thing is what? People. Imagine, without this people part, nothing else is possible. So tell me one thing, a person who is handling the people function of the organization, should he not be sitting on the board and guiding the board on how and what kind of people, which kind of people, what people philosophy should be there in the organization?
And definitely a person like you.
No, I'm saying there are far better people than me, but what I'm trying to say is that it's a no-brainer. Correct? There are many organizations with many people on board. Typically, what will they do? They will get someone, who is good in governance. They will get somebody from the SEBI or someone from RBI or something, put them on the board. That's great. You should have. Then they will say, that how to make sure our profitability is always there, because the promoters always think about profitability. Say, let's get someone, who is great in finance. So he's also there. He should be there. They might even have people from marketing on the board who will be able to help you sell the product. They might even have people who are great thought leaders or scientists as far as the product is concerned. But none of this is going to happen unless and until you have creative, innovative talent who want to do this particular thing. So then that's the person that you should be. Right? So I think it's like, an HR person, HR thought leader on the board should be there for the strategic part. Don't get an HR leader on the board to define what should be the talent management system, what should be the recruitment or hiring or firing, those kind of, or resource management and all that nonsensical things. For that, you have an HR head, this is like, in any organization, they will manage all these things or whatever. What you require is like, the board is a strategic HR leader who is able to look at the organization, this is like, and diagnose for the organization and say that, is your people function or your people philosophy right? Because if that is right, then everything is right. They say in a human body, the stomach plays a big role. The stomach goes wrong. Eyes are important, nose is important, mouth is important, everything is important. Correct? But, and we give a lot of effort into, making sure that our eyes are good. Correct? We have specialists for that, this, that, everything. We have got surgeons who are able to, cosmetic surgeons who are able to take care of your nose, your ears, your face, everything. But when it comes to the stomach, we throw every junk possible that is available outside. The people function is being treated like that. If the stomach stops, everything stops. Your eyes don't work, your ears don't work, your brain doesn't function. So I think this is like, it's very, very important for an HR leader to be on the board of every organization which is worth its salt, which is actually responsible for people and their families. This is like, when you're running an organization. Otherwise, it's like, if you have, if you are an organization which is dealing in mass loads of people coming, it's just like, being there for 1 year or 5 months or 6 months or 8 months and going away, coming back again, it's like, you don't need actually, you just outsource it to all these agencies, consulting agencies. It's like, but I'm talking about proper, good organizations which have got a long-term ambition, long-term vision, Correct. An HR leader on the board will question the ethics, will question, this is like, the governance, will question the compliance of the organization, will question the value system, will question, this is like, the behaviors, if the organization has got its behaviors or whatever. It will question it will set up an ethics committee. It will ensure, this is like, that the organization's health is maintained so that a healthy body can deliver the product, the performance, the profit, and the prospecting. So, very, very important position. Very, very important role.
Absolutely. Ajit, we have been building the Global Thought Leaders community for cross-pollination of knowledge and a community of independent directors for having a better corporate governance in the country. What are your thoughts about these initiatives?
See, like I said right in the beginning, it's just like, in life, nothing is permanent. Everything changes. Everything is dynamic. What is happening today is not happening tomorrow. What is a cure today is a poison tomorrow. Today, what is being taught to us is like, is not applicable tomorrow. Nobody can say, I know it all. No organization can live in the past or even in the present. Not only cross-pollination for corporate governance. My recommendation is, my thoughts on this is that it's a fantastic idea. It's just like, instance, that you have thought of coming up with this, a global thought leaders community, but don't limit it to corporate governance. Correct? the community should be so strong and so good and so diverse, with people from different industries coming together as a and forming this community, that they should be able to advise the government, our government. They should be able to advise, they should be linked or should have a tie-up with Niti Aayog and things like that in the government, jahan pe we can be advisors to the government as and show them how to build this nation, not just on corporate government. I think the role should be much larger than this, and where the Prime Minister of India, like so today, for example, agar if there is something not working somewhere, it's just anything technically, it's just or infrastructurally or anything of sort, people will go to IIT and they will ask them how to go about doing this. IIT will put together a team, they have a research team, so they will analyze it, this thing, then they will advise in climate change what you should do, in this what you should do. It's just anything, correct, whatever it is. Similarly, this think tank, this global thought leader community should be such that the government should be asking us, the Honorable Prime Minister should be turning around and saying, go to this community, ask them for a solution. It's just India is, if India is to become a superpower by 2030, then this community can play a very big and vital role as in helping in that particular. They can guide the nation because they're coming from different industries. They're dealing with thousands and lakhs of people who are working with them or whatever it is. They are able, they know the pulse of the people on the ground, what is happening. They know from their own industry experts what the future looks like in 100 years from now, because they're interacting with people. It's there are organizations which have got global exposure, correct? There are organizations which have got traditional exposure. There will be organizations which will be able to turn around and tell you, members of those organizations, if they're in the community, they will tell you that traditionally in India, what works well in India, correct? Instead of going and aping from the West, they will say ki ye hamare liye acha hai. Correct? There are organizations in India which are taking management lessons from the Mahabharata and Ramayana and inculcating, putting it in their organization and making things work. Correct? Correct. There are people, as who got a value system which includes dharma. Correct. So you got the best of everything. And if all these people are coming together, I think they should be used for a larger purpose. That's my suggestion, that they should be used for a larger purpose and not just for corporate governance, because corporate governance, I think, for this kind of a community as Leginsons will be a very small pie.
Yeah. It's very inspiring. So we can be the smaller nation building units. Very inspiring.
Absolutely. It's just आज के तारीख में सोच के देखो कि इतने, I'm just giving a small example. In today, it's just across the India, there are all these small fires that are happening. Someone's fighting this commotion, that commotion, this, that. Just imagine, way back, it's during the freedom struggle, one individual called Mahatma Gandhi, correct? He started something called as Bharat Chodo, Quit India movement. That became successful because the entire nation became one community and fought towards this. Correct? That's how we finally got our freedom. It's there are different things that people, everybody has got their own way of saying it. He got his freedom, that one got his freedom. But at the end of it, whether it is Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose or whether Jawaharlal Nehru, whether it's Mahatma Gandhi, that en masse, one single goal, vision of Bharat Chodo, which was getting all the people together, as in that one particular thing, that created magic, and we achieved a goal as a nation. We got our freedom, independence. Correct? Imagine if we have a global community who, like this community that we're talking about, which we are trying to create, imagine they are inspiring people all around us as Leginsons, and we have the next Andolan, which is Bharat Jodo, where they are educating people on what is the right thing, what is the truth, what is the fact. Forget social media.
Yes.
The more and more people, assist Lakinsons, who are thinking assist Lakinsons ki abhi dekho itne saalon ke baad, 75 saal ke baad, हमारे पास एक और गोल, नेशनल लेवल गोल आ गया, भारत जोड़ो एक नया आंदोलन चालू हो गया, and this global team is doing it. Imagine you have helped the organization reach the superpower before 2030, because everyone's focused on building the nation. Everyone wants to build the nation. Nobody is wasting the nation's wealth, money, everything, because all these thought leaders are helping, inspiring. We are conducting seminars, we are conducting workshops, we are having forums, as like instance, which is, that's how Bharat Chodo Andolan also started. Na? Chote chote pamphlet print karke spread hote the. We can start. We should. So I'm saying we should look for something larger. It's just like, rather than just focus only on one aspect of it.
When we are all talents, we will do something very good and we will take it to the highest level possible.
Just as an example, I'm just telling you the difference between recruiting a person and acquiring a talent. I'm just giving you an example, to close the loop. There were 2 Sholais made. There were 2 movies. Both were Sholay. एक राम गोपाल वर्मा का शोले था, एक दूसरा शोले था. When the original Sholay was being made, they wanted a villain. And at that time, apparently, Amitabh Bachchan said, I would like to be the villain. But the directors refused. They said no, and they went and got an unknown person called Amjad Khan, because they were looking for a talent. Yes. They were not trying to fill a vacancy with a brand name. Correct? हम क्या करते हैं? If there's a vacancy in the organization for a HR role, let us go and get an HR head of some big company, global company. I said, they're going to bring him and put him here. Bring an Amitabh Bachchan and put him there. But the directors in Sholay refused that, and they said, we will get an unknown person called Amjad Khan, because they felt that he's got that talent. The movie went on to become the biggest box office hit. And the movie today is remembered not for Amitabh Bachchan or for Dharmender or for Hema Malini. It is remembered for Gabbar Singh, which is being done by Amitabh Bachchan. Many few decades later, Ram Gopal Verma made another Sholay, Ram Gopal Verma Ki Aag or some shit like that, something he made, in which he fulfilled Amitabh Bachchan's dream and made him Gabbar Singh. You should see that movie. They made him Gabbar Singh. The movie flopped. So when you have talent and when you fill a vacancy, as like, with a brand or a person, for a famous person who has become famous doing something else in some other organization, this is like, that's a different thing. That's why I'm saying, stop recruiting, stop filling vacancies, stop hiring, go out and acquire talent, as is like, who will grow the organization.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was a fantastic conversation with you. I'm confident. I'm confident that your insights will inspire the next generation of leaders. We wish you the best of luck in future endeavors. Thank you, Ajit, for joining us today on the call with Global Thought Leaders. Have a good day.
It's always a pleasure, Arjuna. It's like, it's fantastic. It's like, spending time with you. I also learned a lot from you, it's like, during our initial conversations. Also, keep in touch.
Sure. Thank you.